Hello and welcome to this review of, Bankers Club Select Brandy. This is the first video review for this product in the world. I looked, but I couldn't find any. They had a couple of reviews for Bankers Club American Blended Whiskey. But this is the brandy. This bottle, handled plastic bottle, runs about $22.99 at Total Wine & More. It's not a private label. Some other stores will sell it, not commonly in Louisiana. But so Bankers Club, introduced in 1969 by a company in Philadelphia called Kasser Distilling, and then in the 80s, don't know what year, they were bought out by Laird of New Jersey, Scobeyville, New Jersey. So it's got some kind of smudging on it. I'm trying to wipe that off. Okay, so what that is. This is bottled by Regent Distillers Products Company, Scobeyville, New Jersey, but I mean Regent Distillers is part of Laird because it's on the Laird's website. There is a website listing for this. So Bankers Club Brandy. Now it's one of those where there's a whole line, you know, like King Robert II, Scotch, you know, Special Reserve Scotch, gin, rum, you know. So that's the same thing with Bankers Club. There's a gin, there's some vodkas, this brandy, American Blended Whiskey, Kentucky Straight Bourbon, Sour Mash Whiskey, and so forth. So I don't know who makes this. It just says that it's bottled by them. It doesn't say made by them, so they could be buying it at auctions. And I know companies do that, and then they'll bottle it under their name. And or they might have a long-term contract with a consistent supplier who will bring it in. So we don't know where it's made. We would have to assume somewhere in the United States, otherwise it would say, like, with Hartley brandy, made with imported brandies. Something like that. All right. Laird's, their claim to fame, though, is not these kind of things like this, or Senators Club, the Senators Club line. That kind of stuff has been bought from other companies, which is no problem there. It's common practice. But their claim to fame is the Laird's Applejack, which is their apple brandy. And I've never had Applejack. I've had Apple Jacks, which is breakfast cereal, sweetened breakfast cereal named after that brandy product, but I guess I need this on there anymore, this little ring, sealer ring. Alright, so there's nothing listed on distiller.com. There was one listing for their Kentucky Straight Bourbon, which was favorable, and there's three or at the most 5 check-ins on Untappd, Total Wine & More. But it gets like a good score in the 80s, like good, you know. It's copper colored. I would call it that, copper. Like, no, maybe it's not that dark. Maybe it's amber or honey. Okay, that's a better, sort of like a tan. All right. Put the cap back on. Sometimes you taste these, and then after you keep opening it and closing it and air gets in it, it'll start to taste a little different. Try to let it breathe a little bit in this little snifter, brandy snifter. I went by a store, the thrift store they call it, Horseshoe Thrift Store, and I bought up many glasses over there over the years. They had some beautiful brandy glasses with the stem, good price too, but they were smoked. So I didn't buy them because I didn't want the smoked glass because it could obscure the appearance of the liquor. But if they had been clear glass, I'd have snapped them up in a second, 50 cents each. You know, to get a set of those for $2 would be amazing. But yeah, it's just the smoked glass thing about it. Okay. Oh, and brandy, if you don't know, which you probably do, is it's like whiskey, but it's made from grapes. So think about it along the lines of grape whiskey, or it could be apple whiskey. Actually, you can make any kind of brandy, but the typical way is to use grape wine. Brandy comes from a Dutch term, burnt wine. That's what they call it. So first they make the wine, usually white wine, doesn't have to be, and then they distill it and then age it in oak, which gives it that darker color. And plus, they're allowed to add caramel color in without disclosure. So many of these brandies could be spiked with caramel color to make it darker, and they don't have to tell you that. Also, they're allowed to add up to a certain small percentage of flavoring, natural flavors. With brandy, does not have to be disclosed. So you could be getting that, but oh well. Same thing for American blended whiskey. Can have flavoring and coloring added. There's certain percentage amounts, though, that they can't exceed, but they don't have to disclose it. It smells like strong alcohol, actually. It's only 40%, but it smells almost like a rubbing alcohol type of thing. But that would be wood alcohol. That's poisonous to a human. It just has that aroma. It's not a bad aroma, but my leg was cut and it's healing. I could pour this on that wound and it probably would help it. In the Bible, they talk about pouring wine on a wound. I wonder if they were using brandy wine, though, in the Bible and calling it wine. You know what I mean? Since it's from wine. I wonder if it was talking about pouring wine on a wound, if it was maybe even brandy wine at, like 40-50% alcohol. All right, let's go with the taste, Chuz. It's very dry. So I know some of these brandies can be a little off-putting because they're so sweet and sugary. They're just like, ugh, they get a little much to take. They're a little much, but this one's so dry. So I don't know if they're using a dry wine to make it, but by golly, it's dry. This is very minimal sweetness. 1 out of 5 sugar cubes. Of course, there's no bitterness. There's no tannins. I don't see. Let's see if I can pick up any more flavors. Yes. I think it's just like, it reminds me of dry golden raisins. So the flavor's like golden raisins. If you get the sun-made golden raisins, they're golden instead of the regular purple raisins. Has that taste. I think it will hold up in my taste challenges because of its lack of sweetness, which to me is a good thing. It's helping it. So light to medium bodied, so low medium body and a dry finish. So kind of a simple flavor, though. Like I say, golden raisins, and that's it. I think when I had that Calypso Silver, that was the thing I liked about the Calypso Silver rum with natural flavors. At least they're telling you on that bottle. Sazerac is kind of good about that. And that's a different company, but if they add flavor, and they typically will just tell you, but they don't have to. But anyway, that one was very dry also, which I thought helped it because it wasn't much to it anyway, But being that it had that dryness, it kind of led it along in the taste challenges, and it did quite well. So I get the impression that I will be able to tell this apart from other brandies that I have, because all the rest are more or even much sweeter than, more sweeter or even much more sweeter than this one. So, and then the French brandies oftentimes had like a turned fruit. It's like the grapes went off and they still made it, which could be repellent to many people. I don't mind it, but I'm not in love with that flavor either. Oh, but anyway, so all right, so Les Le Bon Temps Relais. I'm going to score this an A minus, 90 out of 100, just because it doesn't have a lot of flavor, but the overall character is good. So 90 out of 100, A minus, getting into excellent, and I'm going to, which is, hey, $22.99 for a handle, and it's excellent. Wow, you say that's amazing. You're lying. It couldn't be that good being cheap. Well, it is. So I'm going to end this review by saying y'all go to Scobeyville, New Jersey, and visit the Laird Company distillery.